Oh, yeah. That fixed it. There we go. Jeremy Edwards, you know it. Okay. I think we're good to go.
So glad
Sorry,
you're
they
able
missed
to
all the...
overcome that difficulty.
Well, when you're a pro, Lewis. What can I say? I didn't panic. I didn't start sweating. I just get in there, fiddle with it, fix it. Those are the steps. It's a 2-step process. All right. Should we go ahead and go live? We got some people here.
Yeah, we're running out of time.
Last week we broadcast on Friday. Today we're like an hour early. Yeah.
Averages out to our usual late time.
I know, but if we actually went live at the same time every week, we would probably get a lot more people showing up here. And I've had several people ask, like, hey, what time do you actually go live? Where can I watch it? So we should start
Nobody knows.
promoting it. But like the thing is like it changes from week to week. Like, no one actually knows. All right. Should we go ahead and go live?
I'm begging you.
No, we're not stopping you. You can
Push the button.
anytime you want.
We're already live, but you know, like actually doing the show.
Liver.
You want to go liver than we are? I don't know if that's even possible.
Liver than live.
Okay. Let me go ahead and cue up Mrs. You Know Who. Oh, Mrs. D. Mrs. D. Oh, my dear. Nothing makes you feel more alive than making love to El Kenny. Oh, God. Gross. Oh, Mrs. D. No one wants to hear anything about that. If you don't mind, we'd like to talk about this week's Apple stories. I think I got everything queued up. All we need is that beautiful falsetto coming in hot. And I'll get the button going, and we'll get this thing rolling in 3, 2. Hello, and welcome to the CultCast Best 30 Plus Apple Conversation. You're going to hear all week long. I'm your host, Reverend Elijah. Joining me today is, well, my notes got taken down. Several writers, well, retired writers, tell tales of him wearing a burlap sack mask and spraying them with some kind of hallucinogenic fear gas. And there's no evidence to confirm that. He's a big Batman fan, I think. He's the managing editor of CultCast. Lewis Wallace is here.
What a great scene that was in the movie.
Pure fiction, pure fiction. Also joining us, he spends his weekends installing and maintaining a series of booby traps around his property in case his editor, Lewis Wallace, ever discovers his secret Ohio location and comes to pay him a visit. He's a writer for CultCast. Griffin Jones is here.
Good evening. I actually spent my weekend making a very exciting purchase that we can get to if we would like to.
I'd love to hear about your exciting purchase, but before we do that, see, I'm doing so many things behind the scenes, you guys have no idea. Let me see if I can do this. We're going live on the all-new X in 3, 2. Oh, great, Lewis again. I think we're live on the all-new X platform. I got to figure out when to bring them in. So I started late because I don't think that anyone, and this goes for the people listening to the podcast now, they don't want to hear all the pre-show banter, like before we actually start the show. I'm not sure they want to hear the hello or any of that other stuff. They want us just to get into this week's Apple stories. So I'm like trying to figure out when to start the X broadcast. But in any case, let's kick it off with, well, actually before we kick it off, let me just give a quick plug here, Griffin, and we'll send it to you to talk about your mysterious new Apple purchase that I doubt you'll keep beyond the 2-week return limit. But if I may, if you haven't already and you would like to support the show and get yourself what I believe to be the absolute best cleaning cloth in the industry, premium grade clean cloth for your gadgets, your glasses, your iPhone, your iPad, your television. They work great on cars, especially the interior of cars. CultCloth, CultCloth.co. I use mine every day. They are absolutely terrific. They clean so well, and they'll keep your gadgets, your tech, whatever you have that needs cleaning, sparkling clean. And if you're kind of obsessive about keeping your stuff in good shape, like I am, and not all dingy and gross and nasty, like your keyboard that you've probably never cleaned, then I think that you owe it to yourself to get some CultCloth at CultCloth.co. We will.
I'll say that they are absolutely invaluable. When I was doing my Apple reviews, or really any product reviews. You got to take the pictures of them, and my old workflow would just be to take the pictures as they are, and then edit out all of the dust and scratches and hair in Pixelmator after I've taken the picture, which is a very time-intensive process. Now, I line up a picture, I just give it a wipe down with CultCloth, and it gets it perfect, sparkling clean, not a single speck of dust on there.
I've had that same thing happen to me, like when I'm selling stuff on Craigslist, and then you take the picture and you're like, oh, it'll probably be fine. And then you look at it on your computer monitor, and it's like there's like smudge all over it and fingerprints. And I see people list stuff on eBay and Craigslist all the time like that. Like there was a guy who was selling a camera that I kind of was interested in, but it looked like he had taken the camera on like a dune buggy race. Like the whole thing was covered with dust and grime and dirt. And I was like, dude, if you can't even be bothered to wipe your camera off when you're trying to sell it, like how poorly did you take care of this expensive camera while you owned it? So I'm not going to buy it. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. No one cares about that story. CultCloth.co, use code CultCast at checkout and score yourself a free extra carry cloth, which is our new improved version. With orders $20 plus, CultCloth.co, and use the code CultCast at checkout. Let's dive right into it. Griffin, I heard you made a big purchase this weekend. Well, maybe not big, but a purchase.
It was a big purchase, and it's not an Apple product that I'm going to return within 2 weeks.
Okay.
I'm going to give each of you one final guess.
Oh, is it an Apple product?
It is an electronic product.
Okay, so
It may or may not be an Apple product.
I know. You probably bought one of those like shiatsu foot massagers from Costco. You seem like a guy who likes to have his feet massaged. That's my guess.
Lewis,
What do you got?
I don't know. Probably like a Pippin or some kind of old Apple product.
That's a great
eBay.
guess.
I wish I got a Pippin. Yeah, so as I mentioned last week when I was talking about the products, I was interested in keeping either the MacBook Air or the iPad Air, and I did really enjoy the iPad Air, but I did return both of them last week because I had to budget for a different purchase. As listeners, longtime listeners may know, there are a few ancient, terrible products in my life at the moment, one of which being my Toyota Prius, but I'm just so upset at the general car market that I'm probably not going to buy a new car for another few years. The next one is the 30-year-old television that is now sitting behind me. The only television in my house really was this crummy CRT TV for a while. And then eventually, due to complaints within the Jones household, I added a small crummy LCD television sitting right next to it, sharing the same entertainment center. But eventually that was also proven to not be sufficient. And so I purchased a new television.
Nice, dude.
Now, I'm going to walk our listeners. I'll make this a little educational experience for our listeners. If you're interested in buying a new TV, maybe you have like an old LCD or even a plasma TV, like, I don't know if any other John Syracuses are in our audience, but if you're interested in buying a new TV and you also want a general Apple-friendly setup and you care about the same things I care about, here's my process. I wanted an OLED TV simply because they have the best blacks, all that. If you're going to buy a fancy TV, like that's really what you should be looking for. 65 inches, just because as far as big TVs go, that's the most standard big TV
You could barely
size.
get one smaller than 65 these days. It's like the smallest TV they sell now.
Mm-hmm. And this is the tricky part. I wanted to look for a non-smart television because it's hardly a secret. Your smart TV, if you have it set up or connected to the internet, is spying on you and selling an incredible amount of data to data brokers around the world. And especially on my crummy internet service, I can't have any device in my house uploading gigabytes and gigabytes of data every single night and sucking up all my bandwidth. That would just be untenable.
I mean, you could bypass all that with an Apple TV.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can if you only plug in an Apple TV and you refuse to set it up. But some crummy TVs like force you to like set it up. And really, if possible, I would have tried to just buy a TV that doesn't have any smarts in it whatsoever.
That's hard to do. I mean, now I'm curious to know what brand you bought because it's not easy to find a TV that meets those requiremtre.
There is one brand of TV that almost entirely makes non-smart dumb TVs, and that is Scepter, SCEPTRE.
I always thought Scepter was like a generic, off-brand television. I didn't even know they made OLEDs.
Well, I heard that Scepter makes dumb TVs. I looked into their selection, and it turns out they don't make OLEDs.
Okay.
And they're also really hard to buy. Like all the Walmarts around me just like had a really poor selection of the Scepter TVs.
That's totally believable.
I was
Scepter.
really looking into it. I tried to make it work. I could not find one that suited my needs. Also on their own website, their website is like ancient. It looks very like early Web 2.0.
I mean, they seem like they're on the verge of going out of business, dude. I mean, like all of these are signs.
Yeah, I'd only started hearing about them like a few years ago, but I don't know.
That's hilarious.
It's hard to buy their own TVs, even from their own website, which is just perplexing to me.
Yeah.
So then I wanted to research, well, if I have to buy a smart TV to get an OLED 65-inch television, what are the best brands that make it easy to quit the smart TV setup, but also have like all the modern features that I want? Because, icing on the cake, beyond an OLED TV, there are other features you want to look out for. VRR is a big one called variable refresh rate, because if you want to watch content at its native refresh rate, you want to watch movies at 24 FPS, you want to watch old Doctor Who at 50 FPS or other stuff at 60 or 29. Then when you switch between the user interface of the Apple TV and you start playing the content, you'll get like this big black screen for a few seconds as the TV has to adjust and restart the inputs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, VRR is a new system that lets it instantly switch frame rates, like just like that.
Well, it's
You don't have to
variable. It's
wait
just
for it to
whatever frame rate is needed, it just automatically
Yeah.
slows or speeds up.
so long as it also matches the resolution and like HDR or SDR.
Yeah.
But you want a TV with VRR, you want a TV with ECC and with
ECC
What do you-
is
oh, no,
like the
sorry,
audio
eARC.
pass. Okay. Yeah, it's the audio
that's what I was
pass through,
thinking.
right?
You want eARC for audio pass-through if you're
Yep.
setting up a soundbar and all that. And I really narrowed it down to two great options. The Sony Bravia has a good TV.
That's
like
a nice one. Yeah. Uh-huh.
And also the LG B4 and C4,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
or B5 and C5.
Yeah.
LG, as it turns out, is the only company that has a reasonably sensible naming convention for their televisions. The letters B, C, and G indicate like how nice they are, and the digit 4, 5, 3, that's just the last digit of the year. So the B4 is their entry-level television from 2024. Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that's what I ended up going with over the Sony Bravia, because I read some reviews and it said the Sony Bravia, I don't remember what model I was looking at, but Arting said that it has like really choppy displays at like 24 FPS when you're watching movies. The LG B4 doesn't have that. So that's what I got. I'll put a
It's a
link in the
dang
show
nice
notes to
TV,
the exact
dude.
television. It is very nice. The blacks are very nice. There are a few other aspects to a TV that you might not be able to suss out before you buy it. Like, I didn't want to buy a TV that takes a really long time to boot up. Like,
Yeah.
some of them take like 15 seconds and you're just like staring at this logo before you actually see anything. The LG B4 boots up instantly. You only even see the LG logo when you turn the TV off, which is very nice.
Yeah. You don't really ever want to see it, to be honest with you. It's like, I know what
Yeah.
TV I bought. I don't need to see your logo.
Or it's like when you buy a refrigerator, you can't like really filter by this, but you want to buy a refrigerator if you have like a water feature that has like water that pours really fast. And if you get a refrigerator that pours water really slow, it's like, well, I guess I just have to deal with that for the next 10 years. But yeah, it's a nice television. I'll speak more about it maybe on an off topic if we want to talk more about it, but I've been happy with it so far. So that's what I recommend for our listeners.
Yeah, Lewis.
An AI powered remote. What the heck
I
is
don't
that?
exactly know
Everything's
what that means.
AI powered these days.
Okay. I
It's
guess
not really.
I'll
They just
talk
put
through
it in the
setup
title.
process. I turned the TV on for the first time, and like I think you have to like pick a language and pick a date and time, and then after that you can just quit it, and you don't have to go through any of the other setup. So I don't know what other features it has because I just plugged in my Apple TV as fast as I could and just quit everything else. And I even checked like the network activity on my router just to double check. It has no connection to the internet. It hasn't done anything. But the Apple TV tvOS is the only interface that I use with it, and it's great.
How much did you pay for it? People got to know.
$1,200.
Okay. I mean, that's pretty good for a 65-inch TV. You know, it's amazing what kind of deals are out there to be had on TVs. And I feel like there's never been a better time to buy a TV. Like, there's just such amazing display tech available for low prices. And I love that LG keeps like their older models available for people, like the one that you bought. And I ended up going with the Sony, kind of on an impulse buy, to be honest with you, because it was QD OLED, and I had heard such great things about QD OLED, which were all true. QD OLED is like one of the most beautiful display technologies I've ever seen. Like the picture quality out of this, it has a very high color, brightness, saturation, and volume. So like typically when there are bright scenes, the colors get diminished and it just looks very white. But with QD OLED, it maintains its color saturation even in the brightness. And like I think one of the absolute best examples of this, there is a scene in Blade Runner 2049 where the character is in like old Vegas, which has been completely abandoned, and there's like this like weird smog and dust that hangs over the air, but like the sun is kind of hanging low, and like the entire scene is like bright orange, and it makes you feel like you're in LA at sundown. You know, it's just like the color volume available at the brightness that's there is just like really incredible. Anyway,
I guess we'll give a
overpriced.
Quick, quick definitions for our listeners. OLED is just the technology where each pixel is individually lit, which means that the blacks can be 100% black. But the problem with OLED TVs, I mean, first of all, they burn in because they have the organic layer on the LEDs. Second of all, they can't get as bright as regular LEDs. So I believe the LG B4 has a technology called WOLED, where in addition to the red, green, and blue subpixels, it also has an extra white pixel just to give that extra boost of brightness so it can be as bright. Like my living room is the one room in my house that can actually get very bright because it has big windows. Imagine that. And the LG B4 is like, even when it's peak brightness, you can still see it really well because it's a WOLED TV. However, when it gets at maximum brightness, because it's boosting that with white light, that dilutes the colors a little bit. So it doesn't get as color saturated. QD OLED is the newer technology, but as far as I know, it's only available on like $3,000 televisions. So
no. It's becoming much more common, and the prices have plummeted. I mean, you can get a nice QD OLED from Samsung now, who makes the actual QD OLED displays for everybody, for $1,500-$1,600, depending on which model you get. And then Sony takes the same panel and puts it into a TV that's $3,000. I mean, Sony is probably like the prime purveyor of QD OLED televisions. But there's other technologies that are on the verge of replacing QD OLED. I mean, it's just constantly changing. There's so much going on in the TV space. Anyway, so we talk about some... Dude, I actually have a QD OLED connected to the Cult Commander here that I use. It's an Alienware QD OLED monitor, 34-inch. It's not 4K. I think it's 1440p. But this thing is absolutely beautiful. Like the picture, everything about it. And it was only like $600 for a widescreen monitor. So there are deals to be had, but you got to, know what you want and know what price you should be waiting for and that type of thing, which we could do a whole episode on. Let's move on to some actual Apple stories, shall we?
Crazy idea. Just crazy.
We want to talk about Griffin's purchase, but we also have some big news this week. You probably all heard it, about WWDC. I'm going to send it back to Griffin to talk more about it while I pull up the story here.
WWDC25 is official. It is on the second week of June, starting June 9 through June 13. Monday's morning keynote is, of course, when they show off all their new software, iOS, macOS, and their other operating systems. Just like every year since 2022, WWDC25 will have the same format of mixed online and virtual. So it'll be it'll likely be the pre-recorded keynote video that'll live stream everywhere online. In addition to all the session videos, the platform State of the Union, all of that stuff will be pre-recorded and released online. However, they'll invite a select number of developers, students, and press to watch the video at Apple Park and mingle with Apple employees on that Monday. The online event can be accessed all through the week in the Apple Developer app, Apple Developer website, and YouTube channel, which is new, which is where they're uploading all their session videos now. So
that's handy.
Yep. WWDC on June 9.
There you go.
Is that the week that you'll be out of the show, Irfan?
I will not be here. That's just great, isn't it?
Oh,
I will not be here. I'm going to be in Georgia. Actually, on the 9th, I'll be driving to Florida. So maybe I could call in if we could work that out. Otherwise,
well, what would be great is if I were also not home during that week. If I were in California, if Apple, you should invite me to WWDC. I know
agree.
a lot of people are actually not really willing to travel to the U.S. right now for various reasons. This is not a political podcast, but I'm already a U.S. citizen, so that's less of a problem for me. You should invite me to California. You know, you're going to have fewer press people coming over. You know, we're one of the top Apple podcasts. We're one of the top tech podcasts, actually, in the Apple
true.
Podcast app. You know, think about how much greater our post WWDC show would be, not only without Airphone, but also with live coverage with me in California.
I'm not sure I agree with that last part, but yeah, I think that we should get our invites. I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know where they are. Lewis, what do we got to do about that? Can you make an email? Make a phone call?
I'll have the Apple Intelligence writing tools craft the ultimate
That's it.
plea for an invite.
So that's what you need right there. That's going to get you in. Yeah, man, that's a bummer that I actually won't be available for this. I'll see if I can call in or see if we can work something out just to kind of like, you know, give some thoughts on whatever is announced. I'm going to Disney World starting June 10th. So, yeah.
Great timing.
They're doing this.
Impeccable.
I know. I can't believe it.
Nobody could have predicted this.
They're doing this this free water park pass when you go to Disney World right now. It's like on the 9th. We're going early to get into the water park for free. And of course,
you know what that is?
What's that?
That's just like going diving in a swamp.
Yeah, well, except they have water slides and stuff.
They tie a string around your waist and toss you into the swamp
and pull you along with one of those fan boats.
See what comes back. Yeah.
I've never actually been to like a really big water park. We have water parks here in Washington. Actually, we have one, and it's terrible. Just run down, rickety. There's no great slides or anything.
Well,
it's like half urine. What's that? So I'm looking forward to going, but yeah, it does mean that I'll be out of town. We're gonna have to talk about that and figure it out, man. That's gonna be an interesting challenge. We probably won't be doing a video stream that week, would be my guess, but we'll see. Maybe I could just call in and leave
if possible, we'll try and do like a pre-recorded video that we'll upload to YouTube.
Yeah,
just like Apple.
There you go.
Just like Apple.
Zero excitement.
All right, well, where are we going next? I have no idea. I guess we're sending it over to you, Lewis, to talk about what we may be able to expect from the WWDC keynote. Some big changes and a big old fat juicy leak. Or is it? About iOS 19.
Right. Yeah, so this video from John Prosser comes out this week, and he says it's based on stuff that he saw. You know, a while ago, he showed off the camera app the way it's supposed to be redesigned, and then now he's saying, "Oh, well, actually, we saw more of this iOS redesign is coming, and here's what it's going to look like." And as he often does, he says, "Oh, we saw this. Here's our recreation of it, right?" So his video offers, good look at this stuff, and this kind of glossy look that's supposedly going to be applied to everything and based on Vision OS. Let's see. Prosser said Apple will focus entirely on a visual overhaul of iOS 19 without making any notable functional changes. And that sounds a little hard to believe. Unsurprisingly, given the current state of Apple Intelligence, the leaker's sources add that no new AI features are included either. That would not. I find that a little surprising too. I mean, surely they'll at least just use the word AI in their thing, because didn't they use it like 937 times in the last video? Or no, not AI. Apple Intelligence.
Mark Gurman had a good point about this in his recent newsletter that, like, over the last year, Apple has only just been rolling out the Apple Intelligence features that they announced last year, so they haven't had time to develop new ones.
Well,
Sheesh.
they didn't have time to develop the ones they showcased last year. So,
exactly.
I mean, surely they will not just say, "Oh, by the way, the stuff we talked about last year, some of it's still on the way." I mean, and surely they won't just clam up entirely about AI, right? I'm sorry, Apple Intelligence.
It means it's the same thing. They've redefined AI.
I think they'll just do the classic Cupertino silence. Like, if they don't have anything to announce, well, they just won't talk about it at all.
Really? Yeah. So, like, no new Apple Intelligence features, no new other features, and just everything looks kind of like the latest apps. Like,
I mean, I think they might have like one or two, but I don't think it'll be like a major segment like it was last year.
Interesting. So, speaking of Gurman, he reported a while back that Apple's going to introduce a major visual overhaul, iOS 19 and macOS 16. So I've heard this so many times. Biggest redesigns in history.
I was gonna say, I feel like you're bearing the lead here. I feel like that's the line right there.
Well, we talked about this for a long time ago, right? Updated
Maybe last
icons,
show.
menus, apps, windows, system buttons, blah blah blah. Gurman, he reported that after Prosser's first thing. I believe it is the timing on that, right? The first thing where Prosser showed off what the camera app is supposedly going to look like. Let's see. Based on the video, well, this is based on Prosser's video. iOS 19's UI elements will adopt a glassy look with rounded corners. All of Apple's native apps will also get a similar visual overhaul, including the keyboard. And as Prosser points out, the sort of overall look and feel is you can see already in like the Apple Sports app and the Apple Invites app, which came out like in the recent past. And then back to Gurman.
Gurman's got to get his jab in.
after this comes out, after this video comes out, of course, Bloomberg and Gurman doesn't even have like it's such a diss, right? It's like Gurman says, "Don't believe the quote iOS 19 images floating around." He won't even.
He doesn't even want to
name Prosser.
Yeah. He won't even utter his name. He's
So,
like, I'm not even gonna mention
so
you.
rude. Anyway, Gurman says that the things that are floating around are, quote, they seem to, quote, be based on either very old builds or vague descriptions missing key features. Expect more from Apple in June. Okay. Way to Bigfoot it there, Gurman. Yeah.
But you know what?
Really expect more from Apple than what Prosser whacked up in his basement? Come on.
But I think that is kind of an important call out. It's like what he saw here is maybe based off of old designs or not a complete understanding of like what Apple's actually going to do. And clearly Mark knows what they're going to do. And he's like, hey, just so you know, like this is maybe a glimpse at what they might do, but this is definitely not all of it and maybe not even that accurate. And I feel like what front page tech does pretty well is like come up with like these mock-ups of things that they think that might happen, and oftentimes those mock-ups look really amazing, but like then you get to the actual announcement and it's like, oh, that's actually not what happened. So it's like interesting to look at.
Was really comprehensive and looked really well done and almost looked like an Apple concept video, but I was less impressed with the iOS 19 design one. I mean, what I'm most curious and scared about is how they're going to change macOS. Because, yeah, you redesign the phone. Sure, it looks a bit like Vision OS. It has like the glossy glass button shapes around the button. Finally, buttons will actually look like buttons. Imagine that. But like, what are they going to do to the Mac? Please, dear God, don't make it worse.
What are they going to do to it?
Yeah. My child, he's so sick. I don't know. That's what I'm curious about. But of course, nobody cares about a John Prosser video about leaked macOS 16 isn't going to get the same level of hits.
Well, it's just weird. It seems like they're just going to do this window dressing thing, and hopefully they'll fix so many of the things that have kind of gone sideways in the last few years. It seems like there's a growing chorus of people complaining about how X, Y, or Z feature doesn't work. I mean, we've all been complaining about Siri forever, and the fact they haven't delivered that yet is kind of embarrassing. But
I guess I should clarify. I'm not actually terribly happy with the design of macOS right now. I feel like Alan Dye has been making a lot of aggressions. The problem is that I'm not confident Alan Dye is going to make it better. I'm scared he's going to make it even worse than it is now and hide more things and make it more inscrutable and make the interface even less dense in the interest of making it look like everything else.
I hate when that happens. For the camera I use for this show, they keep removing things from the firmware. So you'll install a firmware update, and it's like this critical feature that you relied on is just gone. And now you can't. Yeah. So I use a Canon camera, and with these firmware updates they release, they add features that I can't or don't need, and then they pull stuff that I actually rely on. And then it's like, oh, you can't downgrade either. I just hate when this happens, and I hope that doesn't happen with Apple, which is kind of what sounds like what Griffin is saying. I don't think that they'll necessarily remove anything. It seems like it's going to just be a huge visual overhaul, which in and of itself could add a lot of bugs to the OS. But I'm excited, man. To get a really huge visual overhaul to make it look more like Vision OS. I really liked that OS, and so I'm excited to see what they've kind of come up with. And their user experience team is probably one of the best in the world at making software that is easy to use, easy to understand, beautiful, and just works the way you would expect it to. So I'm kind of excited for this visual refresh. I think knowing that it's one of the biggest refreshes, if not the biggest refresh that they've ever done, I'm like, dude, that's pretty cool. Like, I'm kind of waiting to see what tricks they have up their sleeve to improve the overall OS. Hopefully they fix the Photos app. I don't think so, but maybe. But there's certainly a lot of things that they could do. Anything else there, Lewis, before we move on?
I don't think so. Be very curious to see what we actually see. I too hope they don't screw things up.
I feel like the design of the WWDC invitation is maybe a little nod to it. If you look at like the numbers 2 and 5 in the WWDC25 logo, they look very glassy and reflective. A lot like how you might expect a light mode Vision OS style design to look. It could be hinting at that.
You know, that's funny. A lot of times with these invites and things, you know, there's always like all this speculation about what it all means, and I don't think I saw any of that this time. Did you?
I feel like I didn't hear anybody like talking about it, but I feel like it's pretty obvious. Like, it does look very glassy and almost like, you know, kind of like John Prosser's camera concept video.
I really hate now that I'm looking at the thing, I really hate the way that the two W's become one, whatever that is.
It looks
Why
like
can't they just,
V.
It makes my head hurt looking at it. God.
Oh yeah, they like, yeah.
They just jam them together and
they jam them together. Yeah,
For
yeah. You're right. Very cute. All right, let's move on. I'm gonna be walking out the door here in 38
Holy
minutes.
moly!
We're actually making great time.
Let's step on the accelerator.
Well, here, I got a wacky one for you guys, which I actually think I have been digging into AI. I decided I need to learn everything there is to learn about AI tools. AI just in general, for better or for worse, whether you love it or not, it's the future, friends. You got to learn about it. I think, like, even if you don't love AI, it is going to be so ubiquitous that it's good to start learning about it now. So I've been diving into tools, trying to figure out, I think my main angle is, what can you do with this now that's actually useful? Because I don't feel like there's a lot of that. It's a lot of blue sky. It's a lot of, hey, we did this thing, like, here you go, use it and tell us what you think, but no one actually knows where this is going. There've been it's kind of hard to even keep up with AI moving so fast. And this feature that I'm about to talk about seems like it actually could be useful. So here's the story. This is a zany one. Apple preps future Apple Watch with AI-powered camera. You're like, what? What would we possibly use that for? So as the story goes, this comes again from our old dear friend, Mark Gurman, who we get lunch and dinner together like probably once a month. He doesn't stop texting me, Lewis. I'm like, don't you have articles to write? Like, I know we're close.
So insistent.
I know we're close personal friends. You know, you invited me to your christening and those types of things, and I appreciate that, but I have work to do. Please stop texting me. Well, in his latest edition of Power On, he said Apple will be adding cameras to future Apple Watch models. With AI assistance and input from the camera, the smartwatch could provide relevant contextual information. The current idea is to put the camera inside the display of the series version, like the front-facing lens of the iPhone. The Ultra will take a different approach with the camera lens sitting on the side of the watch near the crown and button, says Gurman. Apple will seemingly be able to put the camera on the side of the Ultra. Okay, well, we don't care about that. Do not expect... Oh, this will let users point the watch's camera at an object to access... What did I say? That's so weird. More information. However, do not expect the camera to be used for making FaceTime calls. So, from what I've seen, you know, there's already a lot of visual intelligence out there where you can upload an image, ask AI about things, but there's no easy way to get those kinds of images into like these AI systems. You have to like take a screenshot or take a picture and upload it. But imagine if you could just point your wrist at something and start getting information about it. Like, that is actually pretty useful. And that's something that you could use. Like, imagine you're working on your car and you're like, hey, what's that part? Where can I buy it? And you can use your watch and it will analyze the image and pull it up. maybe you're pointing at a plant and you're like, hey, what's wrong with this plant? Like this leaf looks weird. What should I do about this? Gives you an answer. I mean, there's all sorts of things that you could do if there was some kind of easy real-time way to get images into like AI systems. Not to mention, dude, once you have this with any kind of like, is ubiquity a word? Is that a real word? Did I just make that up?
That's a real word.
Yeah.
Okay. They'll allow it. Lewis isn't, he's not grimacing. He doesn't look angry. He hasn't cracked his knuckles. So that's a good sign. But once this feature is everywhere, all these AI systems will be getting images uploaded all the time, and they're going to just get smarter and smarter and smarter and smarter. By the way, total tangent, but I've been trying to figure out and use these AI systems, and I'm actually figuring out some cool use cases for them.
Well, I guess a question, if I could interject here for a moment.
Please do. Interject away.
Have you used visual intelligence on your iPhone at all?
No.
A feature that is very
I
similar
should.
that you actually have that does exactly what you've been asking
I know.
for.
I should actually try it more often. I have found that Apple Intelligence to be kind of a misnomer. It doesn't actually seem to be that useful, but I should try that. Out of all the features that they have included in Apple Intelligence, I feel like that actually would be something that would be useful. So I should try it more. I've been trying more of the like more common AI systems like Perplexity, ChatGPT, Midjourney, by the way, it's just like for image creation, it's just totally bonkers. There's all sorts of stuff going around right now about some of the recent updates that have happened in the AI space. But you're right. I should focus more on the Apple Intelligence. I kind of gave up on it, to be honest with you. Like when I first played around with it, and I was like, this is not really that useful. But I should give it another go. Were you gonna say something, Lewis?
Well, yeah, that visual intelligence thing is pretty good. I mean, it taps into Google image search, right? And I think ChatGPT. It taps
so it's not Apple Maps, so you can like just take a picture of a restaurant and like look up the menu and reviews and stuff while you're just walking on the street.
How do you actually invoke this feature? Where do you find it? Where does it look?
The camera control.
No,
you click and hold the side button to activate Siri. You click and hold the camera control to activate visual intelligence. So there's kind of you click and hold either of them.
Wait, sorry. So you click and hold the camera control?
Yep.
Yeah, and then you point the camera at something.
Mm-hmm. And you can either tap the button or you can click it again.
See, that's just turning the video on for me. It just makes it so I must have turned that off by accident.
You can't have the camera open to open visual intelligence.
I didn't. I just pressed the camera control button. I held it down,
mm-hmm.
and immediately what it does is it starts taking a video. So
you might have it turned off or something.
Yeah, I was gonna say I may have accidentally like fine-tuned that button without realizing what I was doing. So we're gonna say, Lewis, I'm not trying to fix this.
Well, you can tell it's working because they're like sort of, what do you call it? I mean, this like animation will kind of go over your screen, kind of like the animation that happens when you invoke Siri or when you cut out something out of a photo using whatever that clipping feature is called.
Yeah.
And then it pops up a little thing that says, search, and it. Yeah.
Dude, I have it turned on. Press and hold. Press and hold the camera control to open visual intelligence. That's what I'm doing.
It is a little bit tricky sometimes. I mean, maybe you have to do it from
that time it works.
Yeah, like you press and hold, and you click it again after you pointed at what you want to. That's what invokes it. And the other day, speaking of Apple Intelligence, I used the writing tools to rewrite something, and you know what? It did a fairly decent job. I didn't run it verbatim the way it was, but it gave me, it restructured this thing that needed some restructuring that I was just tired of staring at. And it took
unprompted amongst I would say non-technical friends, the one Apple Intelligence feature among the people who have the new iPhones use the most is Genmoji.
Yeah. Well, that was kind of obvious from the get-go, I think.
Yeah.
I can understand why. Okay, I just tried visual intelligence. Okay, I'm gonna start using that more often. It seems pretty rudimentary. Like I just took some pictures of some things around my office here, and it basically just did like an image search on Google. It's like, hey, here are images that are similar. It's like, okay, well, I'm not sure how useful that is. But
I mean, it does certain things, right? I mean, if you pointed at a plant, it's going to tell you what kind of plant it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you pointed at and I haven't done this, but like if you pointed at a concert flyer, it might even buy tickets for you without you asking.
What I really like about it is that it's just like a nicer interface than using the default camera app for stuff like translating text or like live text or like copying phone numbers out of a sticker or a piece of paper or stuff like that. Like the visual intelligence interface is just like a nicer dedicated place for all that extra stuff that they shove into the camera app.
Yeah, interesting. Okay. Well,
Speaking of the cameras though,
yeah. What a
we got
segue.
another news story here.
What a segue.
Wow.
Who's it going to?
It's going to me.
Oh, nice.
iPhone 17 Pro's upgraded cameras could enable 8K video recording. This year, Chinese leaker Fixed Focus Digital, who I don't think we've heard of a lot before,
Doesn't ring a
claims
bell.
that Apple will add 8K recording support to the iPhone 17 series, which could lead to a noticeable jump in video quality. Well, jump in video resolution, I don't know about quality. The leaker has fairly accurate track record with Apple leaks. Apparently, this rumor goes well with another report from late February, which claimed the iPhone 17 Pro will feature upgraded video recording capabilities, but that previous report didn't really explain what that meant. Now we might know. Apple reportedly wants video creators and bloggers to replace their dedicated cameras with iPhones. While I might think that the jump from 4K to 8K doubles video resolution, that's actually not the case. It leads to a 4x increase in pixels, resulting in sharper and more detailed videos. Each frame from an 8K video is a resolution of like over 33 megapixels. So, yeah, big jump in resolution there. Rumors suggest the iPhone 17 Pro will switch to a 48 megapixel 5x telephoto shooter, ditching the current 12 megapixel sensor. And so with all three rear lenses being at 48 megapixels, that could be what enables this feature in the first place. So, yeah, big jump in resolution. I think, personally, I don't think 8K is necessary. Like, maybe this is going to be a dated opinion, but I really think that 4K is like all the resolution you'll really need on pretty much any screen size until you get to fully immersive VR. But like, if your 8K televisions have to be absolutely gigantic and you need your sofa to be like right up to them to even tell the difference, I don't think 8K is especially necessary. I mean, what 8K does do is it gives you more room for zooming and cropping, but who actually wants to take like an 8K resolution video? That would just be ridiculous.
I mean, I agree with you. I almost said the same thing. I don't want to sound critical because I feel like when Apple releases features like this, we're like, who would need this? It's like Thunderbolt 5. Who would need this? But it's something that is very future facing, right? I mean, 4K is not even ubiquitous at this point. It's actually shocking how long it's taken for 4K to become widely used and for streaming services to support it. It's like still an option in many streaming services. You have to pay extra to stream in 4K. People don't have 4K monitors. You know, there's unless you have a 5K display, you have no way to even watch 4K videos on your Apple devices. Even though, Lewis, you may not know this. This might be news.
That point I disagree with. Because all you need is a monitor that's greater than 1080p to appreciate the extra resolution.
Sure, but to take full advantage of 4K is not easy to do. And all these people are taking 4K videos. They can't even watch their 4K content in any normal person, in any way that a normal person would be able to access.
What do you mean, like bringing it up on a 15-inch MacBook Pro? That's a normal use. That's a normal way that people watch 4K videos.
But there's no 4K displays on 15-inch
There is a 4K. It does have a 4K. Okay, it might not be quite 4K, but it's still higher than 1080p, which is barely even a quarter of the screen.
Sure, but my point, you just made my point for me, is
I did not. I'm arguing your point. You're thinking that 1080p is all people should be recording their videos in. Well, then people are going to have crummy low resolution videos for the rest of their lives.
That's not my point. My point is that Apple allows you to take 4K videos and does not provide you a way to actually watch 4K content unless you buy a 5K display. That's the only way you can actually appreciate the entirety of the 4K that you're paying for as a feature and that you're paying for to store in iCloud. There's no way to actually watch it. So, like, yes, will it look better? Does 4K content look better on displays that are higher than 1080p? Yeah, but you don't actually get to see the entire resolution that you're paying for. That's my only point. And now we're talking about 8K. And it's like, well, you haven't even supported 4K. And now we're moving on to 8K. So, like, 8K is like this very, I would say, esoteric feature that, although it sounds cool, there's hardly a television or display on Earth that can actually utilize that content. So it's very, very future facing. Like,
on the other hand, so is log video, and Apple added that to the Pro iPhones.
Sure.
Like,
yeah,
maybe if they add this, I guarantee if they add 8K, it would only be to the Pro iPhones, and it would probably stay only a Pro iPhone feature for like maybe 5 years at least. Like,
sure.
Because again, normal people don't need 8K, but this they're trying to turn the iPhone into a like pro cinema quality camera.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Actually, I think I'm talking myself back around into it. 8K, that actually would be a pretty neat pro camera feature.
It would be a great pro camera feature. Yeah, I think that's the angle there, right? Is if you're actually using your iPhone for any kind of professional production, but how many people actually do that? I don't know that anyone uses an iPhone for making any kind of content beyond maybe stuff on YouTube. I know you can do it. I mean, Apple does it in their commercials and in their keynotes and stuff like that. It is possible, but the amount of extra production equipment you would need it's not like you can use an iPhone for professional production without spending a lot of money.
Handheld iPhone, that's all you need.
Like, I mean, I'm sure eventually they'll be filming Silo and, all their other shows just with an iPhone, an iPhone 20. That's literally all you'll need.
I mean, a lot of people
editing them on an
iPad. A lot of aspiring filmmakers who can't afford like a gigantic like Red camera, who want to learn how to edit log video or want to learn how to like edit 8K video, but can't rent a DSLR and they just have an iPhone. If they already have an iPhone, then they can practice this stuff out.
I bet they use it a lot in film schools.
Yeah, they might. And
colleges.
And I'm not complaining about this. I think it's cool that Apple's adding better features in 8K video. Would be useful if you want to have like the absolute most feature-proof video that you can have, especially if you're family. So maybe you can't use it now, but like, in 10 years when 8K televisions are a thing, it's like now you're ready, right? Like you've been taking 8K video, but the storage space is going to be totally insane, and Apple's probably just... In fact, part of me thinks that Apple's releasing this feature so that people are like, oh, I'll turn on 8K, and it's like, wait a second, I'm out of iCloud storage space. Don't you worry. Don't you worry.
We have an easy answer for you.
We have a solution for you.
Seamless solution.
So
I actually read a theory, I think a while ago, that the reason the camera plateau on the rear of the iPhone 17 Pro is going to be so much bigger is to fit the much larger 48 megapixel sensor for the telephoto lens. Like, the sensor, I don't know, what do you call it? The tetraprism design, like periscope camera or whatever. To fit the much larger sensor, they're going to have to like stretch out that extra space, to the right of the telephoto lens. And that's why it's going to be shaped like that, which kind of makes sense.
Interesting. Well, we got to move it on here since we got like 20 minutes left, and I want to make sure we work in some listener voicemails. I just wanted to touch on this last story here real quick because I finally decided this week, no joke, that I was going to sell my AirPods Max. I just don't use them. They're great. I just don't use them though, and I was like, okay, I should just sell these. And right as I was making that decision, of course, TC decides to drop this big AirPods Max update, which actually doesn't help me because this update is only coming to the newer USB-C model AirPods Max. But what it will do is further tank the resale value of my current AirPods Max with the Lightning ports. I don't know why it took them so long to do this, but I'm a man ahead of my time. I made a YouTube video about AirPods Max probably like 3 years ago that said these headphones are capable of so much that you can't actually accomplish. Like it makes me think that Apple is going to be updating them in some way or connecting them to some kind of like high fidelity streaming service, because what can you do? They give you this professional hardware, but you can't actually get the signal that you need to take advantage of like what Apple is building in from a hardware perspective. Well, here you go. Surprise! Lossless audio coming to AirPods Max with USB-C. Apple plans to add 24-bit, 48 kilohertz lossless audio and ultra-low latency audio to AirPods Max via a free software update next month. However, users will only be able to take advantage of the premium audio features when using a wired connection. So Apple's now selling a USB-C to 3.5 millimeter audio connector. I don't know how much it costs.
It's in the show notes if you read those. It costs
$39.
$39.
I didn't bother. Oh, $39. There it is. Okay. Yeah. So it's going to make the new AirPods Max, the professional. It's going to give them the audio quality that we have always hoped for them to have. I was thinking that they would add this via Wi-Fi at some point.
Well, it's interesting
Maybe that
because
connection is
the AirPods with the H2 chip support wireless audio, like high fidelity audio, because like the H2 chip has advanced smarts that goes beyond the Bluetooth spec,
Right.
and has a higher like transmission rate over like a custom Wi-Fi thing. But because the updated AirPods Max are exactly the same as the old AirPods Max on the inside, they still have the H1 chip.
Unbelievable.
These headphones that cost over twice as much don't have that feature.
It is so strange. And so now you have to use like this $40 cable instead to get the feature that you would get with the H. Anyway.
Also, this is another perplexing part of the story. The USB-C version of the AirPods Max didn't support wired mode until this update still has yet to drop. So your old Lightning AirPods Max can work over wired if you just plug in, Lightning to headphones. The new ones didn't do that. They always had to be worked wirelessly.
It's probably because they didn't have an adapter that you could use. Like they were just waiting for the development of the adapter. Because the Lightning adapter has like an audio digital converter chip inside, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this must too.
I mean, the neat thing about the cable is that it works, plugging your USB-C AirPods Max into like a turntable, but it also works if you plug the USB-C end into an iPhone or iPad and plug the output into a speaker. So one Apple cable can do both of those things if you want to play sounds out of a speaker from your phone.
This whole thing is so strange. I really just don't understand what's going on with AirPods Max. Anyway, it makes the AirPods Max capable of what the hardware has always been capable of. Well, to a certain degree, I guess not from a connection standpoint. And just to kind of make my point about the AirPods, the original AirPods Max, more clear, you have like this top tier audio inside the headphones themselves, but you're using Bluetooth, which is not a high fidelity connection. So you have the hardware which is capable of providing the higher level audio quality, but they have no way of getting the audio into the actual headphones. I guess you can connect it with the adapter, but no way to do it wirelessly. The whole thing is very strange, and is one of the reasons why I stopped using my AirPods Max. I'm like, these are basically just like a bigger, heavier version of AirPods that could sound better, and probably do sound better, to be fair, but don't have the actual wireless connection capability to deliver the high quality fidelity, the high fidelity audio that you would need to actually take advantage of the hardware. The whole thing is very strange, man. In any case, I'm sure my AirPods Max Lightning versions will probably be worth like $100 less now, but I think it's time to sell them. They've just been sitting in my drawer, and the battery just keeps getting degraded because I keep not charging it. So I think it's time to let them go.
Quick, man. Sell them now.
I'm going to
before word gets out.
Yeah. Oh man, speaking of word getting out, and you were talking about this earlier, Griffin, just kind of briefly about how expensive it is to buy cameras and people using iPhones and stuff. So massive news out of Red this week. They have like this camera that I've always completely coveted called the Red Komodo, which is a 6K camera with like the Red image quality, which I think is one of the best that you can get. Like it has an image that you just cannot copy. Like when I see a video that uses a Red camera, I can tell because the dynamic range is just out of this world. It looks so effervescent and ethereal. It's just like the image looks incredible. And this week, last year they dropped the price on the Komodo. It's a 6K camera, like I said, $1,000 to $5,000. This week, they dropped the price $2,000. So the Red Komodo is now $3,000, which is still a lot of money. But for the level of image quality you get out of that camera is absolutely probably one of the best values you can get in cameras. And I was on eBay just looking at people trying to sell their Komodos who hadn't heard the news yet that the price drop had happened, right? So like they're trying to get like $4,500, $5,000 for like their Red Komodo. And I'm like, oh, bro, you haven't heard the news. Red's undercutting you. You can now get a brand new Red Komodo for $3,000, and you're trying to sell yours for $4,500 used. So there's going to be a lot of unhappy people who were trying to cut loose their cameras and now have to drop the price. I mean, what's your camera worth now? If Red sells them brand new for $3,000, yours is maybe worth $2,300, maybe. Like, so you just lost like over $2,000 in value in an instant. What are you going to say, Griffin?
I'm looking at a picture on B&H Photo. If you showed this object I
pull this
think
up.
maybe most people, maybe the last thing they would guess that it is camera. I don't know how I would describe this thing. It's first of all, it's just completely cube shaped.
Yeah.
It doesn't have anything on it really resembling a camera. The back of it has 2 levers and 12 arrows surrounding them. I don't know what
It's
that's for.
those aren't levers. They are
Okay.
like tension springs to keep the battery in
Okay.
place. Yeah.
Mounting something. I don't know. It doesn't even have like really normal camera ports on it that I can tell. It doesn't have no screen whatsoever. This is interesting.
So this
is
camera was
clearly-
originally made to be
yeah.
like a Hollywood crash camera. So like a small, high resolution, high dynamic range camera that they could put in a car that they're gonna like drive off a cliff or something. And because the image quality is so unbelievably exquisite, it started getting an audience of just regular content creators who are like, $6,000 is a lot of money, but like, I can afford a $6,000 camera now once you build it all out. This is like just like the brain of like the camera, like there's other parts that you would need to buy in addition to this. But it wasn't, an Airy camera, which is what they use in Hollywood, are what, like $150,000, right? Like the really nice red cameras are $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. So a $5,000 camera is like for like a Hollywood director or a DP or something is kind of something that you wouldn't mind destroying, I would imagine. And now that's $3,000. I mean, even I thought about buying one, and I might buy one used. We'll see how low they go, because this camera has like an absolutely magical look to it.
Your return to YouTube with your one video after the 2.5 years.
Yeah,
will be shot in 6K.
I think that's what I'm missing. That's a thing that I think I need in order to get the video out the door, and is going to be worthy of the M4 Max, the completely maxed out Max that I bought.
Let's introduce it another step, as you have to learn and buy a bunch of accessories for a cinematic camera.
Yeah, and color grading stuff.
Yeah, it'll be out in no time.
All right, look. That's all the Apple news we have for this week. But we're going to continue on. We got some more voicemails from our listeners. If you want to send us a voicemail, we're going to be playing these on future shows. Speakpipe.com/CultCast. Speakpipe.com/CultCast. The link will be in the show notes if you want to send us an audio clip. I have not listened to these audio clips at all.
Jeez, man, that's
They
dangerous.
could be horrendously offensive and full of all sorts of expletives that we can't play on the show. And if they are, I'm going to hit the panic button and we'll eject the audio clip. So we still have a way. But these ones I haven't even listened to. So should we go ahead and try to...
Here's that sense of danger that I was saying that does not exist in pre-canned shows. This is, oh my God, I'm on edge.
They would never do this in an Apple keynote. We are on the edge. So this one is from Ben King.
The actor?
I believe so. Ben Kingsley. He's a big fan.
Oh, Kingsley, right. Yeah.
Should we go ahead and play this, Ben? This better be good. Here we go.
Hi, this is Ben calling from
I was like, is this guy trolling us? Is he just making mouth noises or something? Nope. Just a couple of seconds to get going. Didn't he send an audio clip in last week? I think he did. Ben from Spokane. All right.
Let's hope it's not the same one.
Let's continue.
Spokane again. You did an excellent job with the podcast.
Thank you, Ben.
And I do want to let you know that I
Here
have
comes a lawsuit.
2 AI podcasts for you to check out, Erfan.
Oh, okay.
One of them is AI Inside with Jeff Jarvis and Jason Howell.
Okay.
And then the other is Intelligent Machines with Leo Laporte, Jeff Jarvis, and Paris Martineau.
Okay.
And both of those are excellent AI.
I'm starting to think that Ben might be AI. Some kind
Is
of
that like a
agentic
lavalier mic
representation.
thing going on there?
What's going on, Ben? Get that mic fixed. Next time I see audio coming in from Ben, I'm actually going to listen to it first. All right, there's your free plug.
Frog stole his phone. It was just like smacking the microphone or something there.
It sounds like he was like eating lunch or something. I'm not sure. Okay, well, thank you for those tips, Ben. It is hard to find good resources for AI. And like I said, the pace of AI updates is absolutely frantic. I mean, it's just, there's stuff every week and things are changing so quickly. It's just unbelievable how fast AI systems are improving and their capabilities are improving. It's just mind-blowing. Okay, one more. This one's from Dean. Good old Dean.
Hey guys, this is Dean from Jolly old England.
I know.
I thought I'd give a message out to you guys and say, AirPod, what do you do? What I mean by that is, what's your
What would you say you do here? Who's your daddy and what does he do?
I ask myself that every
Mac?
week.
All right. Sorry. Let's keep going.
You're not listed as a writer. Are you a co-owner?
I must have missed that first
You were
part.
making YouTube videos, you say?
Eventually.
No idea. You've got the CultCloth.
Yeah.
So who are you and what do you do? Although I've been listening to you guys for absolute years, you've never mentioned it once, to my knowledge, in all the time I've been listening. Anyway, I love the podcast. Thanks a lot.
I
Well,
think the first part of the question
Obviously,
is what you do at
international
Ultimate
man
Mac.
of mystery. That's what everyone does.
Dun, 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 dun,
By the
dun.
way, that question sounded a little bit like the Doge. You know, to write down 5 things you've done this week.
I think this guy sent me an email earlier this week. I didn't get
Did you
back to him.
reply?
Though. No, big
You better
mistake.
get on that.
You know, he kind of sounded like Charlie Sorrell. I thought it actually might be Charlie trying to troll us for that question because it sounded so much like Charlie. Okay, well, I appreciate the question. I don't know that I could go into vast detail here, but I'll give like the quick flyover. So I used to be a writer with Cultimac. This was years and years and years ago. And also, you know, started the podcast with Leander. Have stopped writing since then, although I kind of miss it, to be honest with you. Like, I did like the writing. It's so time-consuming, and I'm such a perfectionist that it just took me a long time to put together pieces, but I do kind of miss it. And the audio podcast is just kind of endured. I mean, I'm not doing anything really with Cultimac aside from this. What do I do for work? Well, I have the CultCloth, obviously, which is basically like my own version of like a US Mint. But if you want to know what I do, I won't get into it now. I am in the tech space, and we did a full CultCast off-topic episode where I talk exactly about this. Maybe we could link to it, Griffin. It was probably not that many
Secrets
episodes
Revealed
ago.
is the title of it.
Wait a minute.
Secrets Reveal. There we
There's
go.
an off-topics thing? What?
Yeah.
What is this? Tell me more.
I mean, it was only like 2 episodes ago, considering we haven't done one in like 6 weeks or 8 weeks. I'm not even sure how long it's been, much to my shame. But if you want to know exactly what I do, I would direct you to that episode because we go on about it for like 10 minutes or something, and I talk all about it, and you kind of give like the full story of, which I'm not going to do now, obviously, because we don't have enough time. But I do have a regular job, which, you know, just like many of you, has to pay the bills, and then we kind of just do this for, well, I would say for fun at this point, like a fun side project. But it's fun. It's like hanging out with your friends and just talking about tech and where else you get to do that, especially as you get older. You know, it's like when you have a job and responsibilities and stuff and you're not in college anymore, it's like where can you go and just hang out and talk to friends about this kind of stuff. And, you know, we all live in different states, so we're never going to actually get together anyway at any point unless we make that Disneyland trip happen, which I would love to do. I got to
Get one of those red cameras.
I'll bring one with us. I
mean, we could have all met at WWDC if I got an invitation and you weren't traveling to Florida inexplicably.
If they sent us all invitations to WWDC, I would definitely go. Do I see that happening? I don't know. I feel like we might be too occasionally critical or maybe too spicy for Apple's liking. Like, I think they want people who are reliably predictable in the types of exposition they provide about Apple. And you have to
I don't
really
know about that. I mean, like a third of ATP is awfully critical about Apple a lot of the time, and they get invitations.
Oh, really? Okay, so maybe that assessment's not correct.
And
I mean,
yeah.
granted, if all of us got invitations, I mean, Lewis wouldn't be able to go to the event in Apple Park because he'd be too busy as editor, you know, pulling all 12 of his remaining hairs out. But
That's not true.
is the
You're not
case
counting
every
his
Apple
goatee.
event, but okay, that's fair. But like, you know, you and I could pal around Apple Park.
Oh
That'd be
man, I
fun.
would love to go. I don't know what it would take. I don't know what it is. Maybe we just annoy them. Maybe I just annoy them. I don't know what it is about. I've never been invited. I know Mac has been in the past, and I can't say anything about it. But Leander has had some pretty prestigious encounters with Apple in the past that we don't talk about here because it wouldn't be appropriate to do so. So, and I don't know what you need to do to get invited. Does Mac Rumors or 9 to 5 Mac get invited? I don't think that 9 to 5 does, but I could be wrong.
I can't keep track of
Chance
exactly
Miller
who
goes. I know he's been
Does
there
he?
before.
Okay. And I wonder if anyone from Mac Rumors goes. Oh, isn't he from 9 to 5? Chance Miller, or is he is he Mac Rumors or 9 to 5?
He's 9 to 5.
Okay, I can't even keep these people straight anymore.
Cult of Mac Rumors, Cult of 9 to 5
Cult of 9
Mac
to 5
Rumors.
Mac
Is that what it
Rumors.
was?
All right, well look,
Go there.
I don't know what we have to do, but we should try to make that happen. I would love to make a trip to Apple Park. If that's possible, if anyone's listening to this, has any pull, I will be on my best behavior. We'll read the notes that were provided.
Please, I'll be a good boy.
Yeah. Yeah, I should reemphasize, the reason we do this is because we love Apple so much. So we're not doing it for any other reason other than that. And I feel like we've done this long enough where maybe we should be considered for tickets to the...
I mean, just by the objective
you know-
metrics, we're one of the top Apple podcasts.
That is true. And to your point, we are one of the top tech podcasts, so which we never actually talk about. So I don't really know why we don't get invited. I think it's got to be like the zany sense of humor. I really think that's got to be it. Like, and we're not developers. They seem to really like developers, and they like people to be like a little bit more dry and less spicy. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but it will have to be something that we save for a future off topic, because that's it. That's all the time we have this week, and looks like my camera just turned off.
No signal.
I have absolutely no idea what just happened, but good timing.
That's funny.
Okay, we'll go to Griffin. All right, that's it. That's all the cast we have for you guys this week. But you know what? The party never ends. If you want to come join the very exclusive Cult Club, you can go to cultof9to5macrumors.com. Support.thecultcast.com. This has been the CultCast, the best 30-plus minute Apple conversation you're going to hear all week long. New episodes of the CultCast come out every Thursday night. I want to thank everyone for listening and for hanging out live. And we will see you guys next time. Man, what timing? What? Oh, you know what? You know what just happened?
You unplugged it.
The battery on my camera died. I forgot to plug it in. Well, that's why we don't get the invites. Stuff like that happens. That's fine. They're like, this guy can't even keep his battery charged. All right, everyone. I'm going to fade out the music now.
It's weird hearing your voice and not seeing your face. I'm so used to seeing your face. Now you're disembodied.
It's actual AI me. Bye.